Dear whoever is behind how it all ends, you keep making the same mistake. It's called the fallacy of the excluded middle, and I've come to make you confront it. Oh, and I do apologize for the poor quality of this video. I have other things to do, and I just don't have time to make this look good. Also, I apologize for the poor quality of the sound, but everything in my apartment picks up the local Catholic channel, whether I wanted to or not. Recently, I purchased a lottery ticket. This was a good investment, not only because lottery proceeds benefit education, but also because I paid $1 for a ticket, and I have a 1 in 175,711,536 chance of winning $270 million. That means that statistically speaking, I've already come out ahead. But wait, I made a mistake. Yes, it seems that I've asked to get the money all at once, which means that I get a lower payout, only $164.3 million. Does that mean I've lost money on this ticket? Let's look at a decision grid. If I buy a ticket, in the worst case scenario, I'm out $1. But in the best case scenario, I win $164.3 million. If I don't buy a ticket, in the best case scenario, I'm no worse off than before. But in the worst case scenario, I don't have $164.3 million that I otherwise would have. You may be wondering why I put that grid up so high. This is why. Like your graph, this has more options. Not only do your winnings depend on whether you would win, but on whether the jackpot would have gone up or down, whether you had not played, and whether you will have to share your winnings if you win. Should I buy one ticket? Would 4 tickets be better than 1? But even this is too simplistic. This, your overcomplicated graph, which leaves no factor unfactored, leaves a huge hole in your argument. Here's why. This is the middle that you've excluded. Between the worst case scenario and the best case scenario, there are 8 different intermediate scenarios. So let's look at that grid again. I think we can safely say that we're not living in a clockwork universe, and the jackpot will go up or down independent of whether I play. I think it's also safe to say that the chances of 2 people hitting the jackpot are slim enough that we can leave that out of the calculation. Let's add the other steps. As you can see, if I buy a ticket, I win 12 cents on average. But if I don't buy a ticket, I'm out those 12 cents. So I'm glad I did buy that ticket. At least until we factor in taxes. Incidentally, the probability breakdown doesn't usually look like this. Usually, it looks like this. So what does this have to do with global warming? Our friend here keeps on about how we should look at the worst case scenario. By definition, the worst case scenario is unlikely to happen. So it behooves us to look at the most likely scenario. Luckily for us, the scientists involved in these studies include their estimates of error, which are usually based on this. The normal distribution. It turns out that most of the values of many tests, studies, and experiments lie within 1 standard deviation of the average value. In fact, fully 68.2% of the values fall in this range. 95.4% of the data is within 2 standard deviations, and 99.7% of the data fall within 3 standard deviations. That's why you'll see these numbers, especially 95%, so often in scientific discussions. The IPCC has quite a few terms for describing these probabilities. So, for example, when they say that it is very likely that human activities are causing global warming, they mean that it is more than 90% certain that human activities are causing global warming. And when they say that it is extremely unlikely that global climate change of the past 50 years can be explained without external forcing, they mean that they're convinced to 2 standard deviations that it's true. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a good probability distribution for an economic analysis, but I did find this assessment of percentiles. By 2100, we can expect a 0.9% loss of global per capita GDP, with the 5th percentile being 0.1%, and the 95th percentile being a 3% loss in global per capita GDP. And here are the data for 2200. But what if we do act? Stern says that it would cost 1% annually for the next 20 years. Let's put these back into the original chart. So you can see that the cost of acting is 1% per year for 20 years, and not acting will cost us 5.5% per year by the time 2200 rolls around. So there is the middle you've excluded. If you notice, I come to the same conclusion that you do, but without that logical fallacy. Oh, and do wish me luck in tonight's drawing.